Welcome to a brand new episode of VMTV Vaults. Myself, Kyle Dimond. My guest for this episode is the coach himself, Mr. Paul Sutherland. You may know Paul as the head coach of the Figlak Brothers, who of course have been tearing it up in Cage Warriors as of recent years and will continue to do the same, no doubt, in 2022. We talked about them a lot, obviously, but also Paul is one of the two people in charge of the promotion Meltdown, which you may be familiar with. They host events in Bristol, and they've recently been recognised as one of the affiliate promotions for the English Mixed Martial Arts Association. So of course we talked about that. We talked about some other things to do with the gym and to do with the Figlaks and the promotion, of course, Meltdown. So without further ado, Mr. Paul Sutherland.
Yeah. Be good.
But let's just start by talking about the gym. I know that it's I suppose quite a boring question, but how has it been kind of easing back into the flow of things? Because I know that everything is very stop-start at the moment. It's kind of like, well, we can do it, but who knows what's going to happen in a couple of weeks and stuff. It's still very hit or miss. But what's this last few weeks been like? Does it feel back to some sort of normality, at least for you?
Well, yeah, at the moment, we're sort of back pretty much at full capacity. Everybody's training back to normal. Obviously, once we were in, the official sort of lockdown, it was really difficult because the gym was shut. And then obviously with my professional fighters, they had exemption to be able to train, but we were only training in small groups. So like the last pretty much 18 months have been, pretty difficult, but hopefully we should be coming out of it soon. So at the moment, the gym's flourishing really. So, but I'm just got my fingers crossed that we don't go back into another lockdown or anything silly like that,
That's one thing I noticed from just quickly scrolling through your social media, and I've always known that specifically when it comes to jiu-jitsu tournaments, you take a lot of students with you. So I was expecting it to be big classes and stuff, which obviously is great. Usually that's incredible. That's a great thing. But it does make things more difficult, I suppose, for you trying to get back to normal when you've got so many people to care for, right?
Yeah, it really does. The good sort of thing that we have in our gym, we've got a lot of families that train. So the families can train in their own sort of groups. So they're not sort of mixing households and stuff, especially, when we're just coming back out of lockdown and stuff and we have the restrictions. So we're doing like family classes or small groups, and it was just families or siblings. So that actually helped. I got a lot of families in my club, so, it was really good.
Yeah. You mentioned professionals then for a minute, and obviously we got to talk about the Figlaks because for the last couple of years where MMA has been very stop-start in general, the Figlaks have been one of the biggest stories to come out of the last couple of years, and it really seems like every single time we see them, usually we see them together, and every single time we see them, they raise their game again and again. When did they first walk into your gym, and what was your first impression of them?
Well, I've been training both lads for it's probably 9 or 10 years now. So obviously when they first came to me, I think they were 16 and 17 years old. We initially had a gym in Worcester, and I used to go and teach in the gym in Worcester as well once a week. So I used to go over there and teach their MMA classes, their MMA program. And then obviously I saw those two there and I thought, they've got a lot of potential. So I approached them and sort of said to them, what their aspirations were, if they wanted to take it seriously. I said if they did, they can quite welcome to come and join our pro team, which was in Cheltenham at the time, and they can come into the pro practices, and just see how they go from there. And then obviously they both came down. I could see their potential, and I've sort of been training them sort of ever since they were young guys really. And obviously now they're in their mid-20s and they're just coming into their prime sort of thing, and we've spent a lot of time. They've really dedicated guys, and we spent a lot of time sort of training them and bringing them through and teaching them the right sort of things to do. And obviously their work ethic and stuff speaks for themselves, and they're starting to flourish now. So I think the sky's the limit for those two guys, to be honest with you.
I think as well, you can, like you said, with the way they've developed over this quite a long period of time, like you said, been training them for like 10 years. It very much feels like they're always on the same steps or there or thereabouts, which I guess makes things a lot easier. And it's something you see For example, the Hardwick Brothers, I feel like, are very much the same. You could say the Edwards Brothers as well. It seems like they're always right next to each other, going up the ladder at the same time. Does that dynamic make them easier to train, because they're just like, it's like you teach one thing and both of them learn it? Like,
there's no sort of it's a good thing that they're both in the same sort of point in their careers. They both really pretty much have the same amount of fights. You know, they fight in two different divisions, which is only one weight class difference. You know, the reason why they're so good, obviously, you know, I'm put in a training environment and I give them a lot of my experience, but mainly it's because they're training together and they push each other every session, you know. And I always say to some of my younger kids who are coming through, just watch how those guys train, because that's the example I want, you know, them to set, and, you know, to look at those two, and for my younger group to actually come through and kind of like replicate what they're doing, you know. But in all fairness, obviously, yes, I train them, but they've got the best training partner within their, you know, themselves, because they're training every day, multiple times a day. And you know, if one's down, the other one brings the other one up, you know, and they're both pushing each other, and, you know, their work ethic, it really speaks for themselves. So, you know, really good guys to train.
Let's shift from talking about the gym to talking about Meltdown for a minute. Obviously, the big news with Meltdown is that you were recently given the status as an affiliate show for the English Mixed Martial Arts Association. How involved were you in that process?
Right in the forefront. I'm actually one of the board members of the English Mixed Martial Arts Association. So I've been a board member for about 2 years now. So what we're trying to do is to set a precedent right across the board for the country for mixed martial arts, to set a standard, like a safety standard for other shows to bring fighters through on a safe platform. And obviously there's a few shows that we're starting to bring through, like youth development as well. And we just want to be sort of like the pioneers of that. And hopefully we can bring other shows with us, and we can help to bring the whole sort of safety aspect of UK MMA, you know, along with us, you know, to a higher level.
Yeah, forgive me for not looking into it more, but because I knew I would be talking to you, I thought might as well, you know, talk to someone who knows exactly what it entails. But when it comes to being an affiliate with the English Mixed Martial Arts Association, is it from a safety point of view, and what kind of does that entail? Is it like weight cuts, like in terms of on-site, like health and safety at the event? Does it cover everything?
Yeah, basically it's mainly for the safety aspect, in terms of, like, yes, as you say, weight cutting. We trying to keep a database of fighters' history. So say, for example, you get some guys who might get knocked out 2 weeks before and nobody knows about it, and the promoter put them on another show. So we're trying to build up a database of, like, if someone's had a previous concussion or been knocked out something, that promoter shouldn't be using them for X amount of time. So it's just that, you know, safety things like that, you know, making sure you've got the right paramedics and doctors on site for the shows. So there's like a list of criteria what every show should have, which, you know, obviously we're trying to help and assist other shows to actually do that, because Almighty Fighting Championships as well have actually affiliated as well. So they're doing exactly the same thing as Meltdown.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if you're familiar with the promotion, Evolution of Combat, but there was kind of a story that came out this week, because a photo they posted on social media of one of their fights had kind of been criticized because of the difference in weight between the two opponents. And don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to say anything bad about this promotion. They've explained themselves perfectly well that they needed to do last minute replacements to save their cards. Like, it was more people were questioning the use of journeymen in MMA, and how that should be handled, really, because it's not really something that gets discussed, I guess, because this guy had to step in on 24 hours notice, and obviously because of that was weighing in at a completely different weight. I just wanted to get your take on that, and how, as someone who runs events like you do, how tough is that situation, I suppose, when it comes to finding replacement fights, but also it's kind of a grey area when it comes to journeymen in MMA, I think.
Yeah, it's in all fairness, it's extremely tough for a promoter. If you get somebody dropping out at the last minute. By most promoters, by all intentions, will always go to sort of like really respected gyms to get their fight card, and fighters, they go through respected coaches and stuff. But obviously it does happen where you've got someone who drops out, and then yes, journeymen do have a place. Within combat sports, is the same in boxing as well. They have a place there. But obviously, it's ultimately down to the promoter to make sure everything is safe. And I can't really pass judgment on something I don't know about in terms of like the other promotion. I don't know the other promotion, but I know how difficult it is as a promoter. It's not easy, and there are times where you may have to use journeymen. But in all fairness, I think we're trying to sort of move away from that a little bit. So we're obviously trying to help the other promotions to try and go to certified clubs in order to get your fighters.
Yeah, I mean,
but it is a work in progress, though. In all fairness.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, not to throw shade at this promotion. Like I said, they put their explanation out. They need to save their card, so it makes sense. I wanted to talk about you. I saw that you post that 95% of the card is done for Meltdown Fighting Championships 8. Has it got, as we've kind of gone through the pandemic, and like I said, it's still very stop-start, but better than it was at least. How has that affected being able to put together cards when it comes to finding fighters? Because to have 95% of the card done by this point, is that common? Is that kind of what you would expect? Or because that sounds quite early to me.
For our promotion, myself and Simon O'Brien, who runs the promotion with me, it is actually, because we've managed to carve out a really good reputation for ourselves to run a professional show and to give a platform for even youngsters to actually compete in a safe environment. We work under the IMMAA rules as well. So we use the IMMAA rules for the use. And we try and make it as a professional platform as possible. We spend a lot of money on the promotional side of it, the aesthetics of the actual event, the running of the event. We use the right officials, et cetera, et cetera. So we're just trying to carve ourselves out a good reputation that if people come to our show, they know they're going to be treated how they should be treated as fighters, We did have to cancel one event, which was the lockdown came, I think it was last year. So we had to cancel one show, unfortunately. I think it was February last year. But then obviously, since we've come out of lockdown, this is going to be our second show since lockdown. And, I've been inundated with names and clubs and stuff. I could probably match about 3 cards, the amount of names I've got at the moment. So I should be rounding out that card probably by the end of the week, and then we'll announce the official card sort of like within the next 2 weeks.
Brilliant. Well, can't wait for that. Yeah. It really, like, for people who are watching this who don't know anything about Meltdown, the way that, like, you get a lot of promotions that kind of turn into promotions known for producing talent that goes on, but I feel like the way that Meltdown's set up, it's really got that down to a T. So if people aren't familiar with it, go check out Meltdown. Paul, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, hopefully we'll be able to do something in person at some point and get down to the gym.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how that hasn't happened yet where I've been down there.
Crazy.
But yeah, thank you so much, man.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Oh, cheers. Have a good day, mate.
Okay, cheers, mate.
See you later. Bye. Thank you for checking out this episode of VMTV Vaults, myself and Mr. Paul Sutherland, of course. In terms of things to keep an eye out for, you've got Meltdown FC 8 coming at you on the 16th of April, as Paul said himself. The card is nearly done, so be sure to keep an eye out on that one for any more updates, and also always keep an eye out for the Figlaks, because whatever they're doing, it's going to be gold. Thank you for checking out this episode, as I said, and I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, goodbye.